Greetings, everyone. I hope you're fine. I hope you are doing well. And I would like to say thank you very much for subscribing on this channel. About 1,000 people have subscribed to this channel. And thank you very much. And most of my viewers are from South Africa, US, Eswatini, Namibia, Sierra Leone, and many others. And with age, most of my viewers are old people. And I respect that from 45 years up to more than 65 years. And I thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be honored by the elders. And I just want to say in this video, I know that you may not agree with me all the time, but I just want us to listen to what our brother here had to say.
I want you to picture a scenario, right? Picture a scenario where a bunch of women are all hanging out. There's a white woman, regular white woman. There's a Jewish woman. There's an Arab woman. There's a Chinese woman. There's an Indian woman. There's a Mexican woman, a Filipina, a Black American, and an African woman. So that makes 9 women hanging around, just hanging around, chilling, just drinking, enjoying the day. And then out of nowhere, conversation starts getting a little spicy. Starts getting spicy. The spice levels starts going up. And then out of nowhere, the white woman just gets up and is like, you know what? You're not going to do this with me. I'm white. Our men control governments. You're not going to play with me. Everyone's like, what? The Chinese woman gets up and is like, first of all, I'm a Chinese woman. Our men run construction. No, sorry. Our men run manufacturing. If you want to build anything in this world, you need a Chinese man. So watch what you say to me. Everyone's like, okay. And then the Indian girl gets up and is like, first of all, I'm Indian. Our men run tech. If you want tech and if you want anything to work on your phone, you want your laptop, anything to run, you need Indian men. Don't mess with me. Everyone's like, okay, okay. The Mexican woman gets up. She's like, Los Tigres del Norte. Don't fuck with me. If you need a roof over your head, our men run construction. Don't play with me. Mexican men run construction. You play with me, I'm a holla at Jose, and it's over for you. Everyone's like, okay, okay. The Jewish woman's like, I know you all don't keep your money under your bed, so as long as you got in the bank, watch what you say. Everyone's like, ooh, okay. The Arab woman's like, well, I'm sure you all need gas. Arab men, we control oil. That's us. Don't play with us. Everyone's like, okay, Arab girl. The Filipina is like, okay, okay, I see what you're doing. Well, me and my girls, we have totally taken over the nursing industry. And have you noticed something? Our men are slowly taking over. In 10 years, none of you bitches can get a vaccine without a Filipino man, and we will all be housewives. So checkmate. Everyone's like, oh, okay. So black men, in this scenario, what have we given black women and African women to brag about or clap back about? What have we given our women to brag about? What aspect of this world, what industry, what important part of infrastructure in this world do black men control? African men, the entire continent of Africa that belongs to us, what part of it do we control? That's my question.
I just want to begin by saying some of us will be known as the greatest puppets of all time. The problem of Africa, the problem of Africans, the problem of black people is us. We are different from our forefathers because when our forefathers were busy fighting for colonialism, slavery, and many other injustices, they had us in their minds. In other words, they were thinking about the future generation. But the problem of this current generation, we think we have arrived. We think we have achieved something when in reality, we haven't started. We haven't started doing anything at all. We only think about today. We don't think about tomorrow. That's the problem. Let me repeat this again. We only think about today. We don't think about tomorrow. For an example, if you can remember the last words of Solomon Mahlangu before he was disappeared, this man said, it's all about my people. I'm doing this for my people. I'm just paraphrasing. He was like, I'm doing this for my people. In other words, he was thinking about us. He was like, even if I can be disappeared, but I know that my people will do something. In other words, my people will build industries. My people will bring about economic change. But the problem, we think we have arrived and we are not doing anything, but instead we are thinking about today instead of thinking about tomorrow. Let me just make an example of thinking about today instead of thinking about tomorrow. In most cases, when people, black men, get contracts, it can be a tender or it can be a contract. We only think about expensive cars. We think about buying luxurious houses. There's absolutely nothing wrong about living in a luxurious house. But what is your backup? Because in most cases, the first thing that comes in our mind is the luxurious cars, because we want to be recognized. We want to be acknowledged. And that's the problem. That is why we think about today. We don't even think about our kids. Just imagine, can your child inherit your luxurious car? Can your child inherit your fancy lifestyle? That's our problem. We only think about today. That is why it's easy for us to get bribed. We are easily bribed because we only think about today and we don't think about tomorrow. When it comes to music industry, when you look into music industry, we are good when it comes to music. Black people are excelling. I can say black people are in charge. Black people are selling tickets when it comes to music. But who owns production? Who is in charge of the royalties? Who is in charge of like producing the very same music? It's not us. In other words, even when it comes to the things that we are good at, other people have taken advantage of us. Why? Because we love shortcuts. We don't think about tomorrow. We think about today. That is why the moment you produce like a hit song, this is what they will do. They will give you maybe 1 million into your bank account. Then they will buy you an expensive car, a luxurious house, fancy lifestyle. Then you are shining. Then you are happy. You no longer think about royalties. You no longer think about the contract you sign. You no longer think about anything. Why? Because you only think about today instead of thinking about tomorrow. This is where many of us are failing. That is why we cannot produce anything at all, because it's easy for us to get bribed. That is why even in many companies, when they see that you are creative and you have ability to start something on your own by yourself, they will bribe you maybe by giving you a position of being a CEO or a director in that particular company. Because we are easily bribed, we even forget about the things that we have in our minds, our creative skills, and many other things. That is why other people will continue to be in charge, not to be in charge where they are good at, but to be in charge of our own knowledge, our own skill, our own everything. So the problem, we only think about today instead of thinking about tomorrow. That is why we cannot build industries. We don't care about industries. As long as people can see me that I have this latest car, as long as people can know that I'm living in a luxurious house, as long as people can know that I'm famous, because most of the people that you see on TV, on social media, most of them can be easily bribed, can be easily bribed. Most of the people that are used by media and many other things, they have forgotten about the struggles of their people. Why? Because the moment they tasted comfortability, they started forgetting about everything. And the other thing that I just want to talk about is that money doesn't rotate within us, or money doesn't circulate within us. It cannot circulate within us because we don't have industries. Money will never circulate amongst us because we don't have industries. I just want to make an example using one of the famous industries in South Africa, which is a taxi industry. Taxi industry in South Africa is known to be owned by black people. In other words, many taxi owners are black people. And I'm proud of that. But here is the thing. If I use a public transport, I expect that money to circulate within us. But it doesn't circulate within us because the moment I pay for that public transport, that money will go to the owner of that public transport, which is the black person. And it's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But here is the thing. That money won't stay for long with him. That money won't stay for long with him before it goes to other people. There's nothing wrong if the money goes to other people, but it has to circulate within us for a long time before it can go out. Let me just continue with my example. When I make this payment, I expect this money to rotate, but it won't rotate. Why? Because this person, this owner of this public transport, is paying an installment to other people other than us, because the people who manufactured the car are from outside, and the people who made a deal for him to get this car are from outside. The bank that gave him this loan is from outside. In other words, it's not us. The company that is insuring that vehicle is not us. The people who are in charge of the warranty, who are in charge of the maintenance of that particular car, is not us. That is why we are only consumers. So this money cannot rotate within us. But if we're this mindset of thinking about tomorrow, we're going to build industries. In other words, we would start building industries to make sure that when you own like taxis, if you are a taxi owner, you buy taxis that are manufactured by your brother, and the person who gives you a loan is another brother, and the person who insures, who is in charge of insuring that particular vehicle is another brother, and the person who is in charge of maintenance of that particular vehicle is the brother, and the person who is in charge of the fuel you use, the oil you use, the parts that you use for that particular vehicle is your brother. But it's not the case. That is why money cannot rotate within us. Same applies to individuals. The moment you get your salary, it has to go out. It cannot rotate at all. Within seconds, it has to go out. That's the problem. That is why some of us will be known as the greatest puppets of all time. Why? Because we are not building anything. We are different from our forefathers, because our forefathers were like, we're fighting for colonialism. We're fighting for this. But what are we fighting for? What are we doing? Because our children should say, our forefathers fought for slavery, fought against colonialism and many other things. And our fathers built industries for us. It's not only about our women, but it's also about the future generation. They won't be proud of us at all, because I feel like we only think about today. That is why it's easy for us to be bribed. That is why a police officer will accept bribe at the expense of what? At the expense of his career, at the expense of his position. In other words, this police officer can risk his entire career, can risk his job for maybe 200 rands. It's happening. Why? Because we only think about today instead of thinking about tomorrow. So there's no way we can have industries if we have that mindset. There are people that I know who got, like, for an example, many tenders from South African government, multiple tenders, but today they are broke. And they're not just broke, they are also owing taxes. Just imagine. This question from our brother should be answered. Not just answered, but should also be a wake-up call.